So the purpose of stats is really to monitor your progress, and you can use it to help adjust your study habits. I'm gonna show you the stats. What I will say is that most of you are going to want to hit collection because you're going to have multiple decks. And so you don't want to just look at that particular deck, which is going to be the last deck that I opened. Collection is going to be all of the decks that I've ever created and studied from. The most relevant for 99% of users are going to be 3 tabs in the stats menu. They're going to be reviews, answer buttons, and added. I'm going to talk briefly about the other ones, but those are the ones that I'm going to spend the most time talking about. Reviews is going to tell me how many cards did I review, and tell me about those reviews. So if I hover over this, so you can see here, you've got different colors. Note that I am partially colorblind, so you're gonna have to bear with me. But this red color is, I think it's kind of orangish, is learning. So what that means is that there were 8 times that I was reviewing things where I clicked a button. I opened one card and I hit again 99 times and saw it 100 times, then it would count it as 100 reviews for learning. As I could also do 100 cards that I'm learning, which means that they're the new cards that I'm learning from. The new cards are, again, the ones that I have made, but I haven't reviewed yet. And so from reviewing from the first time, those are the learning cards. And so on this day, 11 days ago, I reviewed, because this is a test deck, I had made, I don't know, however many cards. And what this is saying now is that I didn't review anything over the last 9 days in between those. And then today you can see my reviews that I did. And so you saw that I made a card and I reviewed it. And so that is why it shows learning 1. You got different kinds of intervals. And so as you saw the cards that I had gotten right, the interval was something like, hard was 2 days, and I think good was like 14 days, something like that. And so those are ones where you haven't done them. I forget the cutoff. I think it's probably something like 30 days, where once the interval for how long the algorithm predicts that you're going to remember this information, once that goes beyond 30 days, then I think it's called a mature card. Since I've only reviewed these cards once before, and this is the first time that I'm seeing them after the first time that they were in the learning pile, they're still young cards. And so what you'll notice is that I didn't hit again on any of these, but I'm going to show you what happens when I do hit again. And so this is my test card. I think this is the one I just made, so this isn't going to work. Oh, here, this is one. So I'm going to hit again on this one. And so I'm going to hit again on this one. So now let's look at what happens to my stats. And so I'm going to hit collection again so I can see all of my cards. So you'll see that I'm now learning, it says 2 reviews. And so that's because I hit again twice on those cards. And so those are cards that are young, or they're cards that are mature that I've hit again on. And so that's what the learning means. Filtered is, again, if you create like a separate deck to either review ahead or to cram from, that's the blue filtered cards. You can also see, this is something that I didn't actually notice until like years into doing Anki, which you probably have noticed, is that you may have noticed, which is that you'll see this little line here. And so this is the running tally. So whenever I tutor students on looking at graphs, I actually tell them to look at the axes first. And so this is what I should have done here. And so x-axis, you've got the timeline. So 0 days is today, and then it goes backwards in time for the last 30 days, or you can make it 90 days, or you can make it 1 year. And so showing you is on this y-axis, it's showing you how many cards did you review on that particular day. And on this y-axis, you can see the total number of cards that you've done over the time period. So in this case, over the last 30 days. And so it's showing me then that on this day, right, it went up to 8 cards. And then on this day, I've done 7 reviews. And so then that's why it is all the way up to 15, because it's adding, it's a cumulative running total of all the cards that I've reviewed over time. The next one that I think is most helpful is actually answer button. And so what this is telling us is how many times did I hit the various buttons. I've done a very small number of reviews. This is not particularly representative. So what I'm actually going to show you is my actual stats from my own deck. So I'm going to show you my actual stats for the cards that I have been studying. And so you can see obviously here, reviews looks very different because I've been doing my cards, every day pretty much. And so you can look over the past year, I've basically done my cards. There was maybe some exceptions, but I've basically done my cards pretty much consistently for now like 15 years. But if I look at my answer buttons, okay, so what you can see here is how many times I have hit the various buttons. So you got again, right? So I've got again, hard, good, and easy. Okay, so these are the different buttons. And so if we go back to stats, basically those same buttons. And so we've got again, so 1 is again hard, good, and easy. And so you'll see how many times and what percentage of the time I hit the various buttons. In my particular case, I almost never hit easy. Pressed it once, I think, for young cards, and it looks like here I pressed it none. And then for new cards, I've pressed it once. So it's like a very, very, very tiny fraction of the time. The vast majority of time I'm either hitting good or hard, and then I will hit again. And so what this number at the bottom tells us is what percentage of the time I was hitting something that wasn't again. So either hitting hard, good, or easy. And so this is useful because I'll see students who are kind of perfectionistic like I am, and they'll be like, well, I don't know. I don't really know this card as well as I think that I do. And so they will hit again. The problem with this is that every single time you hit again, the interval resets. And so it's basically like a new card. And so remember how I said you shouldn't do more than 50 new cards in a day because it will very quickly increase the number of cards that you're doing. Well, hitting again, say double my rate. So I hit again, maybe like, say on average, 12% of the time or 30% of the time, you would be basically adding that many new cards to your deck or new reviews that you have to then review that much more every single day. But this is how people can get to the situations where they are doing thousands of cards in a day and all of their time is spent doing Anki, and they're like, I don't understand, my scores aren't going up, this is overwhelming and horrible. This is why. It's because they're hitting again too often. And so you can get a sense of how often you're hitting again by looking at this. Other thing that you can figure out by looking at how many times you hit again. So sometimes it's because you're a perfectionist. The other reason that people will hit again so often is because their cards are just abnormally hard. And so oftentimes you'll see people put just huge amounts of information on their cards, right? So it might be something like, what are the capitals of France, UK, Uganda, USA, Mexico, Argentina, whatever, like just is really obscene list of things that you have to remember. And of course you're going to forget like at least one of those things every single time. And so you're going to hit again like all the time. It's an example to illustrate that the harder that you make your cards, the more likely it is that you're going to have to hit again. And so there's a balance that you obviously have to strike. If you're a medical student or a doctor preparing for either the USMLEs or COMLEX or one of your medical board exams, then be sure to sign up for our free 14-step program where we'll walk you through the most efficient ways for you to improve your score in a short period of time. And if you're interested in getting there faster, be sure to book a free call with our team where we'll break down what it is that's holding you back and, if it makes sense, explain how it is that we can help you to get there more efficiently.